8th grade, Algebra 1. This is Mrs. Sigley, and these are the examples for lesson 6.4, Transformations of Exponential Functions. And because exponential functions primarily consist of you graphing, and it's very difficult to graph when we have multiple choice assignments, so I had to create how you can determine an exponential function transformations. So I'm going to really quick review this so that way you have it on hand and we can answer the questions. The way I created your online assignments, they look exactly like in this format. So if you do it like I'm showing it to you, you'll be done in about 10 minutes. So reflection across the x-axis. That means that my A is going to be negative. A reflection across the y-axis. That means that my C is going to be negative. Then a vertical translation up, that means that my K is going to be a positive number. A vertical translation down, that means my K is going to be a negative number or asymptote, right? My horizontal translation, that means that X minus, and I'm just going to use 2, minus 2, because what comes out is a positive 2. So since it's a positive number that comes out, I'm going to be shifting to the right. Or horizontal translation to the left, x plus 2, what comes out is a negative number, in this example, negative 2. So negative numbers are to the left of 0, so you are moving to the left. A vertical compression, your A value is less than 1. In a vertical stretch, your A value is greater than 1. In a horizontal compression, now we're changing variables, my C value is greater than 1. And in a horizontal stretch, my C value is less than 1. In an exponential growth, my B value is greater than 1. And in an exponential decay, my B value is less than 1. So I tried to keep all the variables on one side and then made it simple on this side. So I look at my example, and y equals to 3 times 2 to the power of x minus 2 plus 2. A lot of transformations happened here. So first I'm going to start with a 3. That is my A value. So my A value is greater than 1. Then it is my B value. And so my B value happens to be 2. And so that means that my B value is also greater than 1. Then if you look up here, this is my horizontal translation because it's x minus. And it's x minus 2. And then finally your asymptote or your vertical translation, which is a positive 2. So now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to identify exactly what happened. If my A value is greater than 1, I'm a vertical stretch. So I'm going to circle vertical stretch. If my B value is greater than 1, well then I'm in exponential growth. I know that what comes out of the parentheses is a positive 2, and so that means I'm going to be going to the right, and so therefore it's a horizontal translation to the right. So I'll circle number 5, and then I know that my asymptote is 2, or my vertical translation is positive 2, which means I'm going to go up, so I'm going to circle number 3. So the numbers that I circled are going to be 3, 5, 8, and 11. So these are all the transformations for that function in this example. And then I look at my answer choices and I find out which ones have 3, 5, 8, and 11. Well, it's not A, and my answer happens to be B. It's not C, nor is it D. And that's all you have to do for your online assignment. So let's go again. Example number 2. So a reflection, the A is going to be a negative across the x-axis. For the y-axis, the C is going to be a negative. Translation up, I'm going to be adding my asymptote. Vertical translation down, I'm going to be subtracting my asymptote. I'm going to have x minus a number, and this time I'll use 5. Or I could have x plus 5 if I'm going to go to the left, because what comes out is opposite. In a vertical translation, A is going to be less than 1. In a vertical stretch, A is going to be greater than 1. In a horizontal compression, C is going to be greater than 1. In a horizontal stretch, C is less than 1. In an exponential growth, B is greater than 1. In an exponential decay, B is less than 1. Now, if you need some help, you just go back and you go back to this little graphic organizer and you look at what I did. Okay? So, I look at my example, 1/4. Well, that's my A. And so my A happens to be less than 1. Then 1/3 is my factor. And so my factor also happens to be less than 1. I have no horizontal translation and I have no horizontal compression stretch, or I'm not crossing the y-axis. So I jump right back into the asymptote, and my asymptote is -3, or vertical translation of -3. So I go to my answer choices. Less than 1, so I circle 7. It's a vertical compression. B is less than 1, so it's a exponential decay. And I'm going down 3 units, and so therefore it's a vertical translation down. And so the numbers that I chose are 4, 7, and 12. So those are my numbers, those are the transformations that occurred. And so therefore, I go to my answer choices and I look for 4, 7, and 12. It's not A, it's not B, it's not C, and so my answer has to be D. Okay, the next one, number 3. My A value happens to be less than 1. My B value, it's 2.8, but it doesn't matter because it's still greater than 1. Now here's the new one. I see a negative, and that means that my C value is a negative, but my C value is also 2. So my C value is greater than 1. And then I have x plus 6, and then I have a -3. So let me break those up so you can see them. And so all of these transformations occurred. So now I'm going to go to my choices. A is less than 1. Well, if A is less than 1, it is a vertical compression. B is greater than 1. Well, that means it's a growth. The C is negative. Well, that means it's a reflection across the y-axis. But the C is greater than 1. Well, that means it's a horizontal compression. X plus 6, what comes out is a -6. So that means it's a horizontal translation to the left. So therefore, I circle number 6. And finally, I am shifting down 3 units on the y-axis, so I have to circle number 5. I'm sorry, number 4. Okay, because it's down. So the choices I selected were 2, 4, 6, 7, 9, and 11. And then I go to my answer choices, and I pick the one that's correct. And so in this case, it's not A, it's not B, it happens to be C, and therefore it's not D. Okay, so there's another video, number 3. I don't want to make the videos too long, so that way you could see them. So go to number 3 for 3 more examples on transformation of exponential functions. See you then.